We don't hit home runs on this podcast. We work station to station. I'm back with my battery mate, as always, Dustin. And joining us, Flatfoot Freddy, Kreger, in to banter about the Blue Jays. We haven't really done a full podcast in a while. Gentlemen, maybe give me, starting with Dustin, maybe give me your vibes check, Dustin. Vibes check.
Yeah, I think it's been amazing lately, but a little bit up and down. I mean, obviously now well over 500, or at least well over than they've been yet this year. So, vibes are good. I think it was a little bit, you thought, well, maybe they're just doing it against the A's, but this series here with the Phillies has shown that they can kind of do it against some good teams. There's a couple little concerning things, but I think on the whole, the offense is buzzing, and I think it's looking promising if they can keep this up over this next 2 or 3 series. They got some tough competition, but I'm hopeful for sure.
Yeah, I think it's things are looking up. A lot of the guys been hitting for better average lately. Like Kirk's been amazing. Ernie's been hitting really well. He's hitting over 300 for the month. Barger's been over 300. Even Straw in limited time is hitting 300 in the last month. So there's a lot of guys hitting for a lot better average lately. The only real sore spot still is Santander. If we could ever get him going, then that would really be something, because we are lagging behind in home runs in the league. We're in the lower half. So that's something that we could improve upon. But no, Vladdy, Bo, Barger, Ernie, Kirk, all these guys that seem to be hitting better lately. Pitching's been solid, especially Barrios. Bassett's been better. So I think that's a good sign. I think he's been better this year than last year. And like with Kirk, like I think that ever since we lost or we traded away, what's his name?
Danny Jansen,
with his like playing time increased, like I think he's really taken off. Like he's gotten better that he's got more playing time. So yeah, I think things are going good right now. Let's just see if we can keep it going.
All right, so I'm just gonna, I guess, kind of ground everything here with where we are at. So current record 33-29, second in the AL East. We remain 5 games back of the Yanks, so it seems like that's pretty consistent. And boys, we are in the last wildcard place as of recording time. So things are going to plan with Alex's predictions. I just wanted to quick kind of contrast. And I think it is a little bit hard with this team, at least the way they've been playing, because I feel like they've been swept and they have swept other teams more in this season than we've saw in maybe the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's very different. Like last year, they were kind of consistently inconsistent. They'd pick up a series win, lose a series. They've kind of, I don't know. They've thrown the brick on the gas pedal, right? They've thrown the brick on the gas pedal, and now it's they sweep and then get swept, and there's been a lot of wild results, and I do think we're seeing signs that there is some consistency coming to their play. But April they were 11-14. They had a negative 24 run differential, okay, and only scored 2.88 runs per game. On the flip side, May,
I think they went 16-12. Yeah,
they did 16-12. They had a plus 25 run differential. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like they almost kind of like a mirror image, but in like the positive kind of column. They scored significantly more runs. They also allowed more runs, but I guess when you get into those kind of games, you have to slug a bit. That can happen. And they scored 4.86 runs a game. Now, I do think there are some games where that kind of bumped up that number a little bit because they did score a lot of runs against the Padres, and of course with the sweep against the A's, they racked up a bunch of runs. Current run differential. So I know this is something I'm kind of keeping an eye on, and it's now only -1, which I think they were last time we had a
that's
full
something to
podcast.
be
I think
said.
they were like -35 or something crazy
Yeah.
like that. So that's a good sign. Their expected wins and losses, so what they based on the run differential, they would be 31 and 31. So they're still based on the run differential, they're still I guess outperforming themselves.
They are,
but
yeah.
that's kind of where they're at. They just we just came off a series win against the Phillies. Phillies came into the series, I believe they lost 4 straight. So Jays were playing them at the right time. But game 1 they come out and Bowden Francis gets waxed in the first couple innings, and they really break that game open, Dustin.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned with him. I'm not quite sure what it is because he's had some success at the end of last year and even early this year. I think he's had, he was at least holding his own and keeping the team in the game. But I mean, lately it's just part of it, I think is I can't say that.
Susceptible?
Yes, that word, susceptible to the home run. Part of that maybe has gotten to his head a little bit, because I noticed this last game that he was just not as aggressive in the zone, really trying to sort of stay away from the inside of the plate, sort of pitch to the outside, and then he's like missing over the middle and giving up the home runs anyways and the big hits. And so I don't know if it's something like that. He's just trying to like stay away from those long balls. But even when he did, give up a home run or two, it was, a solo run or it wasn't that damaging. But I don't know, just every time he goes out there, it's like hit, walk, hit, walk, double. And it's, it just racks up even worse. So I'm hoping he can figure it out. Like I'm not going to give up and say, get this guy off my team, because obviously we need the pitching, and he's got the potential to be good. I just I think for them to be successful over the course of the summer, he needs to be much better than he's been, for sure.
Dustin, just to touch on your point about staying away from the inside of the plate, like, if you can't control the inside of the plate and pitch inside, and you let guys extend their arms, you're going to have big problems in the majors, right?
Absolutely.
You need to be able to pitch inside. And I must admit, like, I actually tuned in after Bowden Francis had already been hooked, just because of just the daily kind of routine in this house. But he was already gone by that point, and I kind of chuckled when I turned on the TV. After the sweep of the A's, they're already down 7-0 in I think it was like the 3rd inning. I tuned in or what have you. But yeah, that's one thing that he's gonna have to do, right? You have to be able to pitch inside, and if he doesn't have confidence doing that, yeah, it's tricky, and you're gonna have problems. I think right now he's got an ERA over 5, right? And his win-loss record is, I think it's like 2-7 or something. Not good.
Well, Caleb Joseph, I don't know if you guys saw, he pretty much really criticized him for not throwing on the inner half and the inside, busting some guys in. That was his big criticism or takeaway from that game, because, like you guys said, there's just too much over the plate, too much on the outside, and not enough in. So
especially if you throw the split finger like he does, like, you need that fastball on the inside to, get somebody thinking about it. And then the split finger, just looks a lot more, juicy when you see it on the out, sort of in the middle to the outside, and then it drops off. So, and then he was just when he did throw the split finger, it was also just not low enough and just a meatball. The funny thing about that game, sort of speaking to the, like, let's say silver lining, is, except for that, I guess it was the 2nd inning that he gave up 6 runs there. I mean, the Jays won the game 3-2, right? In the rest of the game, I know you can't sort of actually do that, but it speaks to the fact that they didn't necessarily lose that game as a team. It was like Bowden Francis lost that game for that one. So there's a little bit of a silver lining there in terms of the team effort and their ability to stay in the game.
The one pitcher that I think we should touch on, Eric Lauer, and somewhat unexpectedly, he's been making some really solid appearances.
Yeah, I mean his ERA is around 2.20 something. He had to come in and be the bulk reliever in that game, right? When Bowden Francis got bombed in the first. So, yeah, he's been really good. I mean, they basically got him off the scrap heap, right? Like, you know what I mean? So, what about this Fluharty guy? There's another one. Didn't he? I think he performed pretty well today again.
Fluharty's a rookie, though.
Yeah.
But they've been getting a lot of good sort of performances out of Brendan Little. I mean,
that's the guy. Yeah,
I can see him being an all-star. Eric Lauer, I mean, I'm hopeful that he can kind of keep this up. I don't know. I think he's starting tomorrow.
Yeah, the bulk day or whatever is tomorrow.
I was surprised to see him kind of starting, but maybe he's just an opener, like two innings or 3 innings or something like that, just because he pitched there the other day. Yeah, maybe they're just kind of, like you said, just a bulk day, bullpen day kind of thing. They can't run on that for too long though. They need somebody like Lauer to like step in, or one of these guys that they signed.
Didn't he go to Korea or something in 2024? Because I don't see him in the big leagues in 2024. I remember him on the Brewers for years, where you're just what you would call just a guy kind of thing. Never really, established himself as a, upper echelon pitcher. So he ended up, I think he ended up in Korea or something.
Somewhere in the Asian.
Something
leagues.
like that. So, he's been performing pretty well for a guy you find on the scrap heap. And I'm not sure if that was Atkins. I guess it was, but pretty good pickup then, all things considered.
Well, it's one of those unexpected kind of things too, right? Because
like Brandon Little, that's the other one. Yeah.
Well, but Brandon Little at least was on the team last year, right? And I don't know, my sense of Eric Lauer is he seems like he was brought in to kind of fill out the AAA roster, and like, yeah, if they get an injury, maybe you might get an opportunity, and he's kind of taken that opportunity and really run with it. And he's definitely not a velo guy. But he seems to be able to hit his spots, and he's definitely in a good place right now. So I don't know. I'm wondering if they're going to keep kind of stretching him out a little bit by little bit, and if he keeps up throwing up scoreless innings, I don't see why you wouldn't keep him going. But obviously, they want to keep him a little bit fresh too, because he is going to be pitching. He's him and what's the other guy's name out of the bullpen that seemed to split kind of that fifth starter?
Paxton Schultz? No.
There you go, Paxton Schultz. Yeah. So those two guys
Fisher,
Fisher. Yeah.
Fisher.
I think Paxton Schultz seems to be kind of the other kind of guy that maybe longer he can log some innings, but Eric Lauer seems to be like the if any of them is going to be kind of added to the rotation, I would think it's Lauer. Easton Lucas, didn't he? He's been pitching okay of late too. Like after he had those 2-3 good starts and then got totally bombed, and he got sent down. But I feel like he's had some decent appearances as well.
He was okay at the beginning of the year, like you said. Though I think he got sent down to AAA right now. Because right now Swanson's back, so I don't think. Yeah, I think he got sent down.
Yeah, and Eric Swanson being on the major league roster, I think it's another good sign, another good arm in the bullpen. Didn't have a great 2024, but I think his 2023 was quite good in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I think this front office has actually been good at is filling out a bullpen. I mean, last year notwithstanding, I think, in general, they're able to identify guys, bring them in, and use them correctly. And just, I think that's another thing on the whole that this team, just even on the position player side, has been good at lately. And I think it's been something that they've been trying to do over the last few years, but just haven't really clicked. And that's just kind of, I don't know if it's like the Rays used to do this a lot. It was just like find a bunch of guys, platoon them, mix and match, lefty, righty, splits, kind of guys, and just mix up a lineup in ways that, puts guys in the right place to succeed and can get a win on any given day, right? Like you can have Addison Barger in against righties and, Davis Schneider or Ernie Clement against lefties or something like that, and have success. And like I said, they've tried to do that in the past, but this year it's really kind of seems to be clicking. At least on the bottom. It seems to be
clicking, and this is a good segue, Dustin, because I want to talk about Addison Barger, and I actually think Addison Barger, like I do think we're seeing a breakout of sorts, right? And but it was a bit of a slow burn, but I think we're seeing, okay, this guy can hit for power. When he does connect with it, he hits the ball really hard. And generally, unlike last year, he had all the enthusiasm of being in the major leagues, but execution, not really there. But definitely his at-bats are significantly better. He seems a bit more mature. And I would actually like to see Addison Barger similar to how Bo and Vladdy are always put on. They're always written down first. I think we're on the verge of Addison Barger being, kind of as lumpy as you've probably heard before, like one of the first names on the team sheet kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And
right, yeah.
I do think I agree, Dustin. Like they've kind of put these lineups together, and it's finally working. But I do think that's usually a sign of a team that's maybe not that great. I think, I want players that like I can write their name down, and like Addison Barger is the best third baseman on this roster, I think, right now. And he should really be playing there most games, right? He had an off day today. I don't know. He's young. I don't know why he's having an off day, but whatever, that's all part of it. But yeah, I'd like to see them get away from like a little bit of the platoon stuff, but I guess if it's working, who am I to argue?
I wouldn't say necessarily it's the sign of a team that's not that great, but I would admit that, if you're, the top 5 or 6 kind of payroll of the league, you shouldn't be having to build a team in that way. So
good point.
I admit it's probably not ideal, but if it gets you wins and it gets the job done, I'm not too upset about it. I mean, we're getting great performances from Nathan Lucas, and Tyler Heineman has been really, as a secondary catcher has been great. And Ernie Clement, and Miles Straw has been great. Like all these kind of just guys, have really put it together. And then, let's hope that Addison Barger kind of forces their hand and makes them put him in there every day. I mean, I think he's got a lot of playing time lately because I think they had some kind of really unusual stretch where they've just faced a lot of right-handed pitchers lately. Over the last maybe week or so, there's been, I think, 4 lefties, I think, in the last 6 games or something like that. But before that, it was just a big stretch of right-handed pitchers. So that's why he got a lot of playing time. But he took advantage of it. And, even lately when he was in there against lefties, he's done well for himself. So I agree that he's going to he's looking like he's going to break out a little bit this year, and let's hope so, because that lineup looks a lot better when it's, if it's Bo, Vladdy, Santander, Barger, kind of at the top four, or whatever order you want to put them in. That would be, and Barger's hitting and Santander's hitting. Well, that's going to be a nasty lineup with the way Kirk's hitting as well, and then just all the lower lineup pieces have been contributing.
Krager, before you jump in here, my only thing and my only question, and I was actually quite confused by this, and maybe Dustin, maybe you can enlighten me. So not today's game, but last night's game. So that would be game number 2 of the Phillies series. Addison Barger's in right field. Why is he in right field? Do you know what I mean? Like, if he's the best third baseman on this roster, like I would like someone to tell me otherwise. Why is he in right field? What is he doing? And I get he's played there, and he's played there a bit in AAA, and they were even considering moving him out there. Yes, your other option at third base is Ernie Clement, and I like Ernie. I think Addison Barger right now is a better option.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that was against the lefty, right? So you want to get Ernie Clement in there.
Okay, but Addison Barger's still he's still playing though.
And you want to get Davis Schneider in there.
Okay.
Right.
Did Schneider play that game?
Yes. He's played the last.
We're talking about.
We're talking
about Tuesday's
He's been back
game.
and he's been looking good. No, it was last night's game. It was Wednesday's.
No,
game.
he's talking about Wednesday's game.
Yeah, we were bantering in our chat about Barger being out in right field. I'm pretty sure that was last night's game. Was it not?
He did.
I'm looking at Wednesday's game. Barger played third base
and right field. He played both. I think he got switched around.
He got moved. And listen, I have no issues. I have no issues if it's like late game. You know what? We want Barger's arm in the outfield. I'm good with that. Great. That sounds good to me, right? It's just I wonder if this team actually if he's actually the third baseman, if that's what he's going to be, then I don't see a reason why he's starting games out in right field. That's all.
Because if you don't have him in the outfield, you have to have Class A out there. Is it better to have Class A in the lineup or Ernie Clement?
No, it's definitely better to have Ernie Clement.
Because that's the trade-off, right?
Yeah, it's definitely better to have Ernie Clement. I'll give you that. I just this is the Rubik's Cube, right? That is being Go ahead, Krager.
No, I was going to say, when I'm looking at the box score here, you're talking about Wednesday's game. So Barger started at third, it looks like to me.
Yeah, he started right field on Tuesday.
Okay. So Dustin is correct.
Okay. Because, Wednesday he did start at third, but Ernie came in to pinch hit, and he went to third, and Barger had to go out to right field. So that's kind of how that went, that game.
Yeah, so we're talking about Tuesday's game.
Okay.
I stand corrected. All right, we're talking about Tuesday's game.
Yeah, so George Springer DH'd, so you're giving him his, a break. He's DH'd a lot lately, honestly. And then you got, I think it was Schneider out there in left field. Miles Straw in center.
Mm-hmm.
If Barger's at third, then you got to put Class A out there because I don't think Clement plays the outfield, right?
No.
So if you want Clement in over Class A.
Also, Jimenez was coming back too. That also is complicating things as well.
Right.
Yeah. That is going to complicate things because that might be the best spot for Ernie, right? And
you're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now if you got, I'm with Alex. I'd love it if the lineup was so much easier to just do, and instead of I think you guys mentioned the other day in the group chat, they'd chop and hack and switch this lineup around every single night, right? And it would be, I'm with Al that it would be nice if there was a lot more continuity and stability and guys being a little more set in these positions. I think Atkins likes to, or maybe it's Schneider, they like to have everybody moving around all the time to be able to, be versatile. But to me, it's a bit much. It would be a lot simpler if you could have a simpler lineup.
I mean, you're just playing the lefty righty matchups, and you're if Varsho's healthy and Jimenez is healthy, then you're just platooning Barger and Clement, right? Is that what we want, right? Or do we want Barger in there every day, right?
Let me propose a solution. I don't know if they'll go with this. I think the platoon should be Ernie, Clement, and Jimenez. That should be the platoon, right? Not Barger.
Yeah, but you're paying Jimenez way too much money for that. I agree with you. But that's not going to happen.
I actually think like he's coming back from injury, and I think there's a little bit of competition. I'm hoping there's a bit of competition for that second base spot, that he's got to perform better, right? Especially when we need guys that can hit, right? Like we were crying out for that. I went over the April record and run differential, right? And May it's significantly turned around, and June we're off to, I would say, a pretty good start. Maybe Tuesday aside, but it's I just wonder about, like, I can see that there, we do, looks like maybe the corner outfield seem to be a little bit in flux. And I would say second base. What I'm looking to do is let's cross third base off that list. Let's we don't need to complicate this anymore. But again, like, we'll see where Barger is in maybe a month. Maybe he dips. I'm thinking Barger's gonna kind of keep at a certain clip here. I think Krager touched on it. He's last 28 days he's hitting 308. Right?
Yeah.
Currently has 271 average, 829 OPS. OPS plus is 128. He's already at 1.4 WAR, Dustin.
He hit 4 bombs in as many games. I think, this guy has to be in the lineup, and I think with his arm he has to be at third. He has an OPS plus of over 1,000 in the last 14 days, right? So he's one of the OPS leaders on the team. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of touch on that. I want to see more of Barger. I really had no opinion. I don't even know if he came up in our buy sell hold, because we were just kind of like, we don't know what's really going to happen, and he's got an opportunity and he's ran with it.
I was just going to add some stats to this, like you still want Ernie in there. Like, his stats in the last 30 days have been excellent. Like I got him at around 333 batting average for the last 30 days. His strikeout rate is unbelievably low. It's around 11%. So you got to find a way to get Ernie in there still. Now, whether that's at second or he platoons a bit with Barger, it's a problem fit them all. The other guy is who was I going to say? Kirk. I mean, his strikeout rate is unbelievable. In the last 30 days, I got him at 7% strikeout rate. Now you compare that with, like, Santander's around 34% in the last 30 days.
What's Varsho, Krager?
It's not good. It's his 27% strikeout rate. In the last 30 days.
That's lower than I thought.
Yeah. And the numbers are different, of course, for the season, but just to give you an idea, like Ernie, 11%, Kirky, 7%. I mean, these are guys you want up when you need a hit and you don't want to, you don't want to strike out. So you got to get Ernie in there soon.
Yeah, I think Kirk's had like 3 walk-offs this year already, too. 3 or 4 or something like that.
But what did you guys make of Davis Schneider coming back? Like, that really surprised me today, or the other day, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't surprised when
he's got power.
Varsho went down that he would be called up. I mean,
yeah, but Class has been there, and he's been okay lately. I think he's batting 265 in the last 30 days. He's only struck out 21%. Not too bad. So you got him out there, and you still got Lucas, right? And Lucas has been really good. Like, he's another guy who's been hitting 270 for last month, and he doesn't strike out much. He's at 11% strikeout rate. So there's a few options there that are hitting above 265, 270 in the outfield. And then Straw struck out 7% like Kirk in the last 30 days. Now, it's a smaller sample size, but who saw that coming? This Miles Straw guy, contributing like he has been. Like, nobody saw that. Like, everybody laughed when we got stuck with him, right? Like, after that botched deal for Sasaki, right? Like, and, in a small sample size, the guy's been good.
I think you make a great point. There's an interesting collection of players, and I think that's what Dustin was getting at too earlier, is that we have Davis Schneider and Nathan Lucas and Ernie Clement and all, like there's a lot of guys that are Jonathan Classy that are able to contribute, right? And I guess that these are all options as you've touched on that Schneider can deploy in a particular situation. One of the players that I think is probably performing the best of any J right now, Alejandro Kirk. At the time of recording, so that is Thursday, June 5th, he's hitting 305. He's cracked the 300 barrier. 744 OPS. I'm kind of at a bit of a loss for words with Kirk, because I've kind of been of the opinion, when he was hitting in the 280s, my thoughts were, well, that's what he should be doing, right? Like, that's what we need him to do, because as soon as that batting average starts to slip, I think it's kind of diminishing returns with him. But Dustin, give me some thoughts on Kirk. I have some numbers I'm going to throw in a little bit, but like, this guy's been immense.
Yeah, and just he's been clutch. He's been I don't know if he's just seen the ball well. I don't know exactly, obviously what he's figured out, but I kind of feel like he's been a little bit in the last few years. I think there was one year where he had a kid, one year where he played in the WBC ahead of spring training. And, it seemed like that just kind of threw him off for the whole year. I don't know if that's just excuses people made for him, but it seems like this year he just had a really good spring training, and he's just, confident. Maybe the combination of just being the guy, given that confidence from head office, as well as, them signing him to the deal that they did last month. It just seems like, he's kind of taken those reins and run with it. And yeah, I mean, there's, like Krager just said, he's one of the guys that if it's the ninth inning and you're looking for a knock to win the game, yeah, I'm definitely happy to have him out there for sure.
Yeah, and somebody that's not going to strike out with.
Yeah, exactly. To put the ball in the air, even just to hit a sac fly or something like that. He's the kind of guy that can do that.
Well, I have a stat that actually confirms that, Dustin. So, Baseball Reference, his quote unquote late and close batting average. So, late and close is basically seventh inning on the game. They're either winning, tied, or they have the tying run. The tying run is on deck. So it's like a close game. He's hitting 433.
Wow.
In wins, he's hitting 391. In losses, 185. So basically, if Kirk has a good game, his team's probably winning, right? Like, that's where we're at this point. And right. I don't know. I'm kind of doing like a double take, like looking at these numbers in a way, because part of me can't. I thought when he was in the 280s, I was like, great. This is where we need him to be. Reliable Kirk puts the ball into play. But like he's kind of taken things to another level, right? And Krager, do you have anything to add here?
Well, no, I didn't know if you heard me a minute ago because my mic cut out. But yeah, I just think it's his with his increased playing time. That's been the biggest thing for him.
Well, since he's been the guy, and it's funny because there's always been this concern because of his, quote unquote body type that, oh, well, he can't play that much. You got to get him off his feet, at least, once or twice a week.
Yeah, I think that was all nonsense.
As soon as, well, it seems like it, right? And I was thinking the other day when the Rays were in town and Danny Jansen was back. And I was kind of sitting there thinking, and we actually, that was one of the games we were at, Kreger. We went to the Wednesday Rays game, but between the two, because I think the Jays were always going to, decide between which one they were going to re-sign, or I guess in the case of Jansen, bring back. Kirk was always going to be the guy, I think, right? And
they made the right choice, yeah.
And it seems like they've very clearly made the right choice. So,
yeah, and even on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, he's thrown guys out this year quite a bit, more than it seems than usual. And he's always been a great framer. So, on the whole, just a really well-rounded guy.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, this past week, The Athletic came out with their quarter century team. So we're going to talk about the all MLB team, and then they came up with the Jays as well. So a little more topical. So we'll be back. All right, we're back. This past week, The Athletic came out with their all quarter century team. I did listen to a little bit of Jason Stark from The Athletic. I guess he headed this up. Gentlemen, I wondered if you had any thoughts on this. I don't know. I think a lot of these make sense. And there was there was some talk about certain pitchers, would they have made it? But my only like Derek Jeter at short, I guess I don't know. I think A-Rod's a better shortstop, but give me your thoughts, boys.
I don't know. I think the only one that was a little controversial to me was they had Buster Posey for catcher instead of Yadier Molina. So I don't know. I kind of would have went Yadier Molina, but the rest seemed okay to me. The only J guy that was in there was Halliday, right? Out of the whole thing. So that was good that he made it. But there was a couple of people that actually beat him in votes. But I don't think they should have. But, it's the typical Blue Jay thing where the rest of America doesn't recognize Blue Jays very well.
Yeah, I think Roy Halladay's a great choice. I mean, obviously, one of the best pitchers in the last 25 years for sure. Hard to argue with that. I think kind of agree with you. I don't know if it's just my Yankees hate, Al, or not, but I know that Derek Jeter's a great player and he played for some pretty good teams, but, is he the best? Is he the best shortstop?
In the last 25 years?
In the last 25 years? Especially since within those 25 years, he had quite the downturn. I don't know. I'm trying not to be like, Yankees hater kind of, but I don't know, that one did kind of rub me the wrong way. I don't know necessarily. I understand it. I mean, some of this isn't just pure numbers, it's like, I think he kind of was the, poster child for shortstop in that time, let's say. Like it's more about just like, he's the most famous, definitely the most famous shortstop within the last 25 years. And the other one that I kind of had some questions about it, but I understood, was the David Ortiz over Shohei Ohtani was picked by Jason Stark. I think I see why. I know why he did it. David Ortiz just has the career and the history, and Shohei Ohtani has been only around for probably about a third of that time. So it's hard to say that he's better. Like if Yeah. I think Shohei Ohtani's a better player and just more famous than David Ortiz, or like on the whole will be. So that's one that I probably would have picked Ohtani.
Yeah, no, I thought I saw that one too, and I was thinking about that, but I think maybe he picked Ortiz because of his contributions in the playoffs were unbelievable, right? Like that's where, like when it really, really mattered when they won that first World Series. Like the guy literally carried that team on its back that year. And not just that, but for some of the other World Series, even after that, he was just so good when it mattered in the playoffs. And we haven't seen that from Ohtani yet, like on that level in the playoffs. In the playoffs, I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because like Ortiz was just a monster in the playoffs.
Dustin, just to touch on the Jeter thing. So someone in another group chat had posted that, and he basically posted it with the message, Derek Jeter is the most overrated player in MLB history. I would fundamentally disagree with that statement. My opinion, though, is that Derek Jeter is an overrated defensive player, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he won a bunch of Gold Gloves, and I don't think he was that good defensively. Right. I think offensively, like his career batting average is .310, like his career batting average. He was as a hitter, like he doesn't have quite the power and the slugging of, I mentioned A-Rod, right? He's not quite on that level. But he definitely had kind of this complete game, and he was that, quote unquote leader. But he is a 5-time Gold Glover. He was known for that like jump throw thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that's where he's overrated. So to respond to Vic and say, no, I'm okay with him being in this thing. I would have probably went with A-Rod myself. But, I think there's some character issues with A-Rod, as Jason Stark touched on in that podcast that you were kind of referencing. But, yeah, I'm okay with it. But I think he was a bit overrated from his defensive perspective.
The one additional thing I would say about Derek Jeter is, like, just to give him his flowers, is like he did what he did in New York on the Yankees. Like, I think he just, one of his best traits was like his mental toughness or mental fortitude. Like, it's got to be a tough place to play, and it's got to be just a lot of pressure. And he won a lot of World Series with that team, and he was a performer pretty consistently and to do it. So you got to give him his kudos for that.
Hey, Al, I was going to say, Al, are you able to bring up the Blue Jay quarter century team there?
I have it here. Okay, so Blue Jays quarter century team: catcher Russell Martin,
right?
First base Carlos Delgado, second base,
that's a no-brainer.
Your favorite Marcus Semien, shortstop Bo Bichette,
no-brainer for me. Yeah.
Third base Josh Donaldson.
It's another no-brainer.
Left field Shannon Stewart.
That's the one that I wanted to point out. Yeah.
All right, we'll discuss this in a moment. Center field, Vernon Wells. Right field, Jose Bautista. DH, Edwin Encarnacion. We have a starting rotation of Halladay, Robbie Ray, Kevin Gausman, Marco Estrada, and J.A. Happ. And our closer, Jordan Romano. Gentlemen, sink your teeth into that.
Let me just start, Dust. I think the biggest thing there was Shannon Stewart. Really? Like, I mean, it just shows we've never really had a superstar player out in left field in the last 25 years. If we have to give Shannon Stewart that nod, right? I mean, if you look at all those other guys you mentioned, they're all real good. I mean, Shannon Stewart was a good player, no doubt about it. But is that the best we can do in 25 years at left field?
Yeah, in a corner outfield position.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else. I mean,
well, that's how bad it's been. Yeah.
It says this was the toughest pick. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. has a case. Alex Rios would have been an easy selection if he had played even a moment of left field for Toronto. And he's I almost talked myself into Adam Lind and Reed Johnson. Dustin, you like a good Reed Johnson mention.
That's going way back.
No, yeah, he wasn't that good, but I just liked his grittiness or whatever. You know, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, but Kreger, that position, it finishes with
pretty
like
weak.
A little write up from Toronto's weakest position this century. Shannon Stewart stands out.
I mean, that's fair.
I don't know. I think I'd give it to Gurriel, but his defensive abilities he was so bad in left field, right? Like he's not a good fielder. I think that was his weak, but I still think he might have been my guy there. But all right, I don't know.
I'm surprised Guerrero. Well, I guess, I mean...
No, that was a tough one.
I guess he's got to fight against Delgado and Encarnacion.
Yeah, well, Delgado has like so many team records.
Yeah.
Like if you look up all-time career J records, like in hitting, like so many of them are Delgado. So, yeah, Guerrero's, you could make obviously the case, but he doesn't have that length of career and you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm kind of scanning the list here, and a good portion of these 25 years, like this team was not very good.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And that doesn't help things, right? You know, those like the emo Jays or the whatever you want to call them, right? Like the last, 2015 is when they made the playoffs, right? And then, since then they've been kind of in the conversation. There's a few years in there where they were kind of rebuilding. They've been in the conversation, I guess, the last like 5 or so years. But like Marcus Semien obviously had an outstanding 2021 season. It was one season, right? So
but it was a historic season.
It was historic, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, Kreger, but I mean, there isn't
Aaron
really
Hill,
anyone else to Aaron Hill. It says if you're looking for longevity, Aaron Hill is your guy. While
Yeah, but he didn't. Yeah, but he didn't hit 45 dingers in a season and
exactly
set the all-time major league, record for home runs in a season by a second baseman. I mean, you're talking, 100 and something years of baseball. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment.
Yeah, and I no argument from me.
The only other one on the list that kind of at first gave me like what is Jay Happ? But then I'm reading here in this article, it's like he played 6 years and accumulated 10 F WAR, like, okay, or B WAR. Okay, there you go. I don't know. I wouldn't have guessed that, but
well, he had a couple of tours of duty with us, right?
Yeah, he had some good seasons.
But I guess, we've been a little weak on the starting pitching if you look at it over the last 25 years. We really have, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, once you get past Halladay and those top couple of guys, it gets a bit thin if you have to include Marco Estrada and Jay Happ,
Happ, it says he sits second in strikeouts among all Blue Jays starters since the year 2000. That's wild.
Yeah. And he went away for a while. Like he played for us and he left. I remember him on the Yankees and some other teams, and he came back. So if he would have stayed all along, I might, those numbers would be even better. But
any argument for BJ Ryan?
A closer?
They talked about it in the article. I don't think so. I don't know. I think Romano still takes it.
Like the years that BJ Ryan was dominant, but the years that he played, like they weren't good teams.
No.
And so like he didn't get a whole lot of opportunities on the whole. And, it just was kind of.
I just like they mentioned in that article that Jordan Romano was from my hometown of Markham, Ontario. I thought I was happy they mentioned that in there.
Kreger, I don't think there's anyone on this planet that doesn't know that Jordan Romano's from Markham at this point.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. A lot of people think he's from Toronto, I think.
Wow, they mentioned on every broadcast, right?
Do they?
Like every
Okay.
single. Oh yeah, well, it seems like it, right? Markham, Ontario.
We're pretty
native,
proud of
right?
him here. He grew up. He grew up just a couple of blocks from me.
What school did he go to?
He went to it's called McGivney, Michael McGivney. It's a Catholic school, of course. He's Italian Catholic. He lived on 14th Avenue, and the school is at the school's at 14th Avenue in McCowan. It's Michael McGivney. Yeah. So I grew up in that neighborhood. So he's like right around the
Yeah, so did my wife.
Oh, did she? Yeah. So there you go. There you go. So yeah, that's my stomping ground. So we're pretty proud of him.
Just before we go, Kreger, any thoughts or any feelings on Kirk walking it off versus Romano yesterday? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I felt bad for Romano because, like, I have a soft spot for him. Like, plus, everything that he did on the Jays. Like, it's not just his hometown boy, but I felt a little bad for him. I would have felt better if Alvarado was still around and Kirk smashed it off Alvarado, but he took the 80-game PED sentence. So it was bittersweet. Of course, I'm thrilled we won the game, but I felt bad for Jordan.
Yeah, I felt bad for a moment.
Yeah, I'll always be a fan of Jordan Romano. I mean, I expect him to make the WBC team next year for Canada, and so we'll have a chance to cheer for him then.
All right. Well, the Jays start I would say, pretty important road trip. 3 games of the Twins, 3 games against the Cardinals, 3 games against the Phillies. So I think when we come back, if they can't go 500 on this trip, Dustin. So if they can come back with any sort of winning record, I think we'll be pretty good.
Even just 1 game above or 1 game below 500 is fine on this road trip. The Twins play them tough, the Cardinals, and then obviously the Phillies. I mean, even though we won this series, they're going to be tough. They're tough at home. So I think tread water here and get back home because the Blue Jays record at home has been amazing this year.
I think we need another 16 and 12 month. That's what we got to shoot for.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You know what I mean? But, their record right now, it's pretty good. Like, if you look at the rest of the league, there's not too many teams ahead of the Jays overall, like, in terms of wins. So somehow they're still in this. They're not far off. Like Al said, we're in the wild card. Just got to keep moving on here and
keep plugging away. All right, gentlemen. I think that's all the time we have. Thank you very much for joining me.